Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm Lex, and today we are doing something a little different. This is a special deep dive, specifically for the listeners of the C9 podcast show.
That's right.
We are digging into a stack of research, some genuinely surprising case studies, and a look at the future of business intelligence that goes way beyond the buzzwords. Joining me to break it all down is Vera.
Thanks. It's great to be here. And I do want to say a specific hello to the Australian business owners and C-level executives tuning in. We know your time is tight, so we're going to bypass the fluff and get straight into it.
Absolutely. We're looking at a whole stack of material from C9 on the future of business intelligence, or BI. And look, I want to start with a scene that I think is going to feel uncomfortably familiar to a lot of people.
I think I know the one you're talking about, the Tuesday morning nightmare.
That's the one. Picture this. It's 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. You're in the quarterly review. Coffee's getting cold. The CFO leans forward and asks a pretty simple question. Something like, what's our customer acquisition cost for Sydney versus Melbourne?
And the room just goes silent. The operations manager looks at the data analyst. The analyst looks at their laptop and starts clicking.
Yeah.
And then they say the 5 words that just kill all momentum.
Let me get back to you.
Let me get back to you.
It's the worst. It's the conversational equivalent of a buffering wheel.
It really is. And that delay isn't just annoying. It's expensive. According to the data we're looking at, Australian executives waste an average of 8.5 hours.
A week.
Every single week, just waiting for reports.
That is a full workday, just gone, waiting for numbers.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. It's not like these companies haven't spent money on tech. Australian companies have invested over $2.3 billion in business intelligence tools.
Billions.
But the research shows that 68% of executives still fall back on Excel spreadsheets and, gut instinct to make decisions.
Wait, nearly 70%. After spending billions, that just seems like a massive disconnect. Why?
They call it dashboard paralysis. The thing is, traditional dashboards are often built by technical teams, for technical teams. They're static. If you want a specific answer that isn't already coded in, you either need to know SQL or you file a ticket with IT.
And wait.
And wait. The average lag time to get a custom report is 2 to 3 days.
So by the time you get the answer, the problem's already changed or it's too late to do anything about it?
You're driving while looking in the rearview mirror.
Precisely. And that is our mission for this deep dive. We are exploring the solution, what the research calls natural language dashboards.
Okay.
We're going to look at how to stop waiting, but we also have to talk about the risks. We need to talk about AI Cowboys, vibes coding, and why skipping the discovery phase is basically setting money on fire.
All right, let's unpack this. Natural language dashboards. I have to play devil's advocate here. Every tool I use has an Ask AI button now. So when I hear that phrase, I just picture typing a question into ChatGPT. Is that what this is? Just a chatbot guessing? That is the most common misconception, and it's a dangerous one. So the short answer is no. This is not a generic language model making up answers from what it scraped off the internet.
Right.
If you upload your P&L to a public chatbot, you're risking data privacy, and frankly, it's just going to hallucinate.
So what's actually happening here then?
This is enterprise-grade conversational analytics. It connects directly to your real business data, your ERP, your CRM, Xero, SAP, whatever you're using. But the secret sauce isn't just the connection. It's something called the semantic layer.
The semantic layer. Okay, break that down.
Think of it as a translator. It sits between the messy reality of your database and the AI. Your database might have a column called CustyDMY22.
Right, which means nothing to me.
Exactly, and it means nothing to a generic AI. The semantic layer tells the system. This column represents New York customers from 2022. It defines all the business logic before the AI tries to answer.
So it's a rule book. It stops the AI from just making stuff up.
That's it. So instead of writing code, you can just ask which Queensland customers haven't ordered in 60 days. The semantic layer translates that plain English into a perfect database query, pulls the real numbers, and shows you a visual.
It's removing the human analyst as the translator between me and the data. But does it handle the messiness of real business?
That is the key question. We call this being context aware.
What does that mean in an Australian context?
Well, a generic AI trained on U.S. data assumes the fiscal year starts in January. It doesn't know the Australian fiscal year runs July to June.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. If you ask a generic tool for Q1 performance, it's going to give you January to March data. In Australia, that's your Q3.
So you're not just uninformed, you're actively misinformed. You're making decisions on the wrong quarter.
Exactly. A context-aware system knows what an LGA is. It understands GST. It knows that shipping to Perth from Sydney has a different lead time than shipping to Melbourne. It understands your industry jargon.
Okay, so it's smart, it speaks Australian business, but what about security? If I'm typing, show me the profit margins for our biggest client, I really don't want the intern to be able to do that.
And they can't. That's where governance comes in. These dashboards have role-based access controls hard-coded into them. The sales manager sees sales data. The finance manager sees payroll. The system checks who is asking before it even thinks about answering.
So no hallucinations, just hard data governed by your own permissions and things like ASIC compliance.
Correct.
I get the theory. But I want to get into the case studies because the numbers here are pretty staggering, and I'm always skeptical when I see 400% ROI.
I get that. But these are real Australian examples, which makes them much more tangible. Let's start with a Melbourne fashion retailer. We'll call her Sarah, the CMO.
Right, Sarah's problem is that classic Monday morning panic. What was her week like before this?
Well, she has a weekly ad budget, say $15,000 across Facebook, Google, TikTok. Every Monday, she needs to know how last week went so she can adjust this week's spend. But her data is all over the place. Sales are in Shopify, ad spend is in Facebook, margins are in Xero.
And those systems don't talk to each other.
Not easily. So she'd have to email her analysts, wait for them to export CSVs, merge them in Excel. You know the drill. She wasn't getting a clear picture until Wednesday.
So for Monday and Tuesday, she's just spending money, flying blind.
Exactly. Based on last week's hunch. So she switched to a discovery-led natural language dashboard from C9. And here's the change. It's Monday, 8:400 a.m. She sits down with her coffee and just asks the dashboard, show me product categories with declining conversion rates over the weekend.
And because of that semantic layer, it knows exactly what conversion rate means across all those different platforms.
Instant answer. The AI tells her activewear is down. But she can drill deeper. She asks, why?
And this is the part that got me. It didn't just give her a number, it gave her a reason.
Right. It pointed out a spike in bounce rates from Facebook traffic. Then it correlated that with a competitor, ActiveFit, launching a massive 50% off promo that same morning.
Wow. So it connected her ad performance to her sales drop and to what a competitor was doing in the market.
She fixed it in 15 minutes, paused the bad ad, saved about $4,000 right there. But better yet, the dashboard also flagged a new trend, starting on TikTok for men's accessories. She took the budget from the failed campaign and just doubled down on that.
And what happened?
That one move generated $82,000 in revenue before the trend died down.
That's incredible. And if she'd waited until Wednesday?
The trend would have been over.
Oh.
Sarah actually had a great quote. She said, I used to feel like I was driving whilst looking in the rearview mirror. Now I have real-time GPS.
I love that. Let's move to Sydney, professional services. This is Michael, a partner at a firm.
Yes. Michael's story is painful for anyone in services. He was suffering from what we call pricing in the dark.
He has 340 clients. Renewal time comes around. He has to set fees. But he didn't actually know which clients were profitable. How is that even possible?
It's surprisingly common. Profitability in services is complex, right? It's billings minus staff time minus overheads. By the time finance pulled that all together manually, it was weeks too late. So he'd just guess.
And guess low, I'm assuming.
Usually, yeah. He was afraid of losing the client, so they implemented a client intelligence dashboard. Now, 10 minutes before a renewal meeting, Michael just asks, show me Smith & Associates' profitability over the last 3 years.
And what did he find?
He found one client where margins were just sliding, down to 31%. And the AI explained why. It wasn't just costs, it was scope creep. The client was asking for more and more little bits of compliance work that just weren't being built.
The silent killer. It's so hard to catch that when it happens bit by bit.
But with the data visualized right there, he had the confidence to go into the meeting and say, look, here's the data, we need to restructure this. He recovered $164,000 in revenue just by repricing correctly. That's a 420% ROI on the project in the first year.
That's pure profit that was just sitting there hiding in spreadsheets.
Precisely.
Okay, there's one more quick one, David, in Brisbane, the manufacturer. This one brings up a point about predictive maintenance.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting. They integrated IoT Internet of Things sensors from their machines into the C9 dashboard.
So it's talking directly to the equipment on the floor.
Yep. The dashboard flagged a pattern in a laser cutter. It noticed output was declining just slightly,
Uh,
and vibration was increasing a tiny amount. To a human, the machine looked totally fine.
but the AI saw something.
It predicted a failure in 2 weeks. So instead of the machine blowing up on a Tuesday morning,
They could fix it during a planned shutdown.
yes, it saved them $32,000 in a single quarter.
Okay, so this level of integration, connecting IoT sensors, this is not something you just hack together in a weekend. Which brings us to a really important warning in the source material. We have to talk about AI cowboys.
Yes, this is the danger zone.
You see these ads on LinkedIn, right? Custom AI dashboard in 48 hours for $4,999. As a business owner, you think, hey, that's a bargain.
Lex, cheap quotes are expensive. That is the golden rule here. Those ads are from what the industry calls AI cowboys.
I have to ask about this term, vibes coding. I saw that in the notes. It sounds funny, but I get the sense it's actually terrifying.
It is terrifying if you care about your business.
Huh.
Vibes coding is when developers use AI, like GitHub Copilot, as a crutch, not an assistant. They just paste in your requirements, the AI spits out some code, and if it runs, they ship it.
If it runs, ship it. No testing, no security audit.
No understanding. They're literally vibing their way through your project. They don't know how the architecture works, so when it inevitably breaks, they can't fix it.
And there's a horror story here about a Perth agency.
Yes, they paid a freelancer $6,500 for a dashboard. Great deal on paper.
Sounds good.
It worked for 2 weeks. Then the data volume hit a limit, and the whole thing just crashed. But when they brought in a real team to fix it, they realized the developer had exposed client data in the website URLs.
Oh, wow. That is a massive security breach.
Huge. We're talking potential Privacy Act violations. And because it was vibes coded, there was zero documentation. The bus factor was 1.
Meaning, if that one freelancer disappears.
The project dies. And he did disappear. They had to scrap the entire thing and rebuild it properly. The total cost to fix the mess from that cheap quote was $54,500.
So the $6,000 bargain cost them over 50 grand in the end.
Exactly. You just can't afford cheap development when your business data is on the line.
Okay, so this brings us to the methodology. If we want to avoid the cowboys and build something that actually works, how do we do it? C9 talks about the discovery phase.
This is critical. And I know Australian business owners can hate this part. We have a culture of having a go. We want to see action. We want to see code.
Right. Why should I pay you 8 or 12 grand just to talk about it? Just build the thing.
But skipping discovery is the #1 predictor of project failure. The failure rates are 68% higher without it. And it all comes down to avoiding the XY problem.
The XY problem. Okay, what's that?
It's where a client asks for X, but they actually need Y. For example, a client says, build me a dashboard of daily sales. That's X. But why do they want it?
To see how much money they made.
Maybe. But usually when you dig deeper in discovery, you find out the real problem Y is actually, I need to identify which products are sitting on the shelf too long so I can stop ordering them.
Right. And a daily sales dashboard doesn't tell you anything about inventory aging.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So if you just build what the client asks for, you've built the wrong tool perfectly. C9's discovery phase is a structured 2 to 3 week process that defines the actual business goal before a single line of code gets written.
It's the old carpenter's rule. Measure twice, cut once. Now, what about the build itself? There's always this tension between hiring a local Aussie agency, which is super expensive, or outsourcing to a cheap offshore team, which can be a nightmare.
All right. And C9 approaches this with what they call a hybrid model.
How does that work?
They have their onshore team project managers, solution architects right here in Australia. That gives you leadership, accountability, someone in your time zone who understands Australian business law.
A local throat to choke, so to speak?
Ideally, yes. But the heavy lifting of the coding is done by their senior developers offshore. But, and this is the key, these aren't random freelancers. They're full-time C9 staff.
I see.
This lets them offer rates that are 40 to 60% cheaper than a purely local agency, but with the enterprise quality and legal protection of an Australian company.
So you get the safety of local management with the cost efficiency of global talent.
Exactly. It solves the biggest issue with outsourcing, which is almost always communication and quality control.
There's one final thing C9 highlights that I think is really important: knowledge transfer. We've all heard of agencies that try to lock you in.
The vendor lock-in trap. It's a real risk. Some agencies will write code that only they can understand, or they'll hold the admin passwords hostage, so you have to keep paying them forever.
It's basically a ransom model.
It is. C9 does the opposite.
Oh.
Their philosophy is you own the system. They provide full technical documentation, user guides, code walkthroughs. They want you to be able to take the keys and drive the car yourself.
That shows a lot of confidence. They're betting you'll stay because they're good, not because you're stuck.
Precisely. And for companies that are growing, they also offer staff augmentation. If you don't need a whole project, but you just need a senior developer for 6 months to help your internal team, you can rent one from them.
Which is massive right now with the tech talent shortage.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's try to summarize all this. We started with the nightmare of, let me get back to you. We learned the solution is a context-aware natural language dashboard that understands Australian business.
We saw Sarah save her marketing budget in 15 minutes. Michael found $164,000 in hidden revenue.
We learned to run away from AI cowboys and vibes coding. If a quote seems too good to be true, it is.
And we learned that the discovery phase is non-negotiable if you want to solve the right problem.
So Vera, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening today?
The gap is widening. On one side, you have companies making decisions based on live data in seconds. On the other, you have companies running on gut feeling and week-old spreadsheets. The technology to bridge that gap is here. The question for every executive listening is, are you going to keep driving while looking in the rearview mirror?
That is the question. And if you are ready to stop looking in the rearview mirror, here's what you need to do. If you want to stop saying, let me get back to you, and start getting answers in seconds, you need to talk to the team at C9.
You can head over to www.c9.com.au. They offer a free 30-minute consultation. And I want to be clear, this isn't a high-pressure sales pitch. It's an honest assessment. They'll tell you if you need custom software or if you just need to configure what you already have better.
That's www.c9.com.au. Go book that chat. And hey, if you found this useful, please click the follow button on your podcast player right now. Share this episode with anyone you know who is drowning in Excel. They will thank you for it.
They definitely will.
I'm Lex. And I'm Vera. And this has been the Deep Dive for the C9 Podcast Show. Thanks for listening.